Of all the things you wish you could be doing during these pandemic addled times, is visiting an art museum high up on the list? Would you feel safe doing it? Well, for me, the answer to both questions is absolutely yes. And so I recently took my first road trip of 2020. I hit up 6 art museums in 5 states, and spent only 4 nights on the road at hotels. So the grand total that it cost me in terms of hotel accommodations was $225, including tax, and I used 4 tanks of gas. So one of the cheaper getaways I've done. It was pretty much a whirlwind, but I'm so glad I did. And part of the reason is I think the experiences I had were both unique in terms of the sense that I don't think they're going to be replicated as readily for the next however long, for the foreseeable future, because I think the ripple effects of the economic meltdown that is accompanying the pandemic are absolutely affecting museums and are going to affect the scope and caliber of the programming that they're able to do. But it was also a really unique, they were also unique experiences in the sense that because of this weird limbo period we're in, the museums that are reopening are doing so with restrictions. Obviously, everyone has to wear a mask, but that really wasn't, that didn't really, for me, impact much on the experiences I had. But they also had capacity restrictions, which for an exhibition like the one that you're looking at here at the Kimbell Art Museum, which is flesh and blood Italian masterpieces from the Capodimonte Museum, which is in Naples. The Kimbell is usually pretty crowded when it has a popular exhibition like this, and the capacity restrictions were actually welcome in terms of being able to get up close and personal and see the art. So I would put that down as one major reason you should be going to museums while you can, if you can, now. I'll have more reasons in follow-up videos, but those are the big ones for right now for this video. I want to try and keep this video short, so I'll just talk about a few highlights. You could say it's an arbitrary selection because honestly there is so much great stuff in this exhibition. I mean true masterpieces. I know that's an overused term and some see it as a problematic term, but it's just wall-to-wall knockouts in this exhibition. But I want to first talk about a painting by El Greco. It's Boy Blowing on an Ember, painted in 1571 to 1572. This was early in his career when he was in Italy before going on to Spain. El Greco, of course, being the Greek, and according to the object label, this painting was actually inspired by an account by Pliny the Elder of an ancient Greek painting, that was lost to posterity, but he was describing this impressive feat of painting, a boy blowing on an ember and the light reflecting off his face, we can see here he's using the ember to light a candle, and I mean, just everything about it is exquisitely painted. I mean, all the light and shadow, the way the dripping wax from the candle, the way that he's getting that ember to light up, and also the incredible sumptuousness of the paint itself. I mean, El Greco is one of those truly painterly painters, and it is really heaven to get to see it in person. It's absolutely fantastic. Um, Now, interestingly too, as I sort of found out when I did some Googling, he did later versions of this painting, at least a couple that I know of, where he sort of is expanding the cast of characters. There's one that's in the National Galleries of Scotland, where he is joined by a monkey on one side and this sort of grinning man on the other. The Frick collection had a show of masterpieces from that gallery, and on their website describing it, they talk about how the presence of the monkey evokes the classical notion of art as the ape of nature, while the man whose toothy grin and red and yellow attire identify him as a fool may allude to the ultimate folly of the painter's aim of reproducing the visible world, or perhaps of imitating the ancients. But also, monkeys also often symbolized vice, and the grinning man might represent folly. So, according to the National Galleries in Scotland, the kindled flame could suggest the arousal of passion. So the painting might be intended to convey a moralizing message against the base and foolish instinct of lust. It's so heavy on the shadow that it's almost, you can see that the guy's wearing yellow and red, but they're really sort of muted by the sheer darkness. And it's interesting comparing that to the version that comes later in the Prado, where the colors are much more vivid, much brighter. But at any rate, the version on view at the Kimbell, The Boys Alone, and it is truly just exquisite painting. It's about as good as it gets, except El Greco had a long career after that and did all kinds of amazing things, including sort of wilder, almost surreal work. I really hope that I'm allowed to go to Chicago before September 7th, because the Art Institute of Chicago has a major El Greco exhibition, and that's very much the kind of thing that may not come around again in my lifetime. And I hope that they're able to lift their quarantine requirements on visitors from Texas before September 7th, because I will be there in a heartbeat if I can. Another real knockout is a painting by Guido Reni, Atalanta and Hippomenes, painted in the early 1620s. I was not familiar with the story behind it, but it's based on a scene from Ovid's Metamorphoses. I'm reading from the object label here. The huntress Atalanta had taken a vow of chastity. Pressured by her father, she agreed to marry the man who could outrun her in a foot race, which she was sure she would win. Hippomenes won the race and her hand by dropping along her path 3 irresistible golden apples given to him by Venus to distract her. So that's the story behind what we're looking at. I mean, I think the appeal of the painting is pretty obvious. I mean, look at those bodies. Look at the way they're kind of look at how they fill the canvas by kind of diverging in their directions. The way they're sort of in this pale light against this really dark background. There's kind of this, as the object label points out, there's this real tension between movement and equilibrium, that he's achieving with these kind of opposites that he's doing, and it's absolutely amazing. This is definitely one of the parts of Flesh and Blood where they really deliver on the flesh big time, and it's a very striking, interesting image, to be sure, and great to see in person. And then finally, I want to talk about Mattia Pretti's version of a famous biblical scene from the book of Daniel, the feast of Belshazzar. This is the moment when Belshazzar, who is the last king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, notices the writing on the wall. That's where that expression comes from. So it's at the, which would be in the upper left corner. It's really hard to see. This painting is hard to photograph because I guess it's got a lot of varnish, and so there's a lot of glare when you try to take a picture of it. But it is amazing in person. So anyway, he sees the writing on the wall, and you know, the revelry is about to come to an end when he summons Daniel to translate the writing and explain what it means. It's basically that your time's up. God's had it with you. The Medes and the Persians are going to take over, and so without necessarily taking the religious connotations on board, one wonders if we're living in a similar time as the writing on the wall. But anyway, that's it. I could have highlighted many more. There's just so much great painting in this exhibition. It's only up through August 2nd, so make a dash for the Kimbell Art Museum in Fort Worth, Texas, if you can. And if you can't, make a dash for the nearest museum that's open near you. This is kind of a rare time we're living in, and the writing may be on the wall for many of our favorite museums. I will see you next time with the next stop on the road trip. Bye.